Hi everyone, welcome back to the Good to Know channel. Today we're diving deep into how nicotine actually impacts your brain and can seriously enhance focus. And we're also tackling the bigger picture question that a lot of you have been asking about regulation and even the wild pandemic observations. If you're new here or haven't subscribed yet, do me a quick favor and smash that subscribe button right now. It genuinely helps the channel grow so that I can keep putting out these in-depth videos for you. It takes 2 seconds and you'll never miss the good stuff. Alright, let's jump in. You know those foggy brain days when nothing sticks? A lot of us grab coffee, but nicotine works on totally different pathways and can feel like flipping a switch to high performance mode. The science is way more fascinating than the usual just on smoke talk. Mechanically, nicotine binds to nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, especially the alpha-4 beta-2 and alpha-7 subtypes in the brain. It ramps up dopamine release in the reward pathways while dialing down GABA. So you get motivation plus mental breaks. That I can crush this task feeling, that's the dopamine hit. But focus goes deeper. Acetylcholine is the attention neurotransmitter, and nicotine boosts its release too. Real studies, like the one from the Journal of the International Society for Its Nutrition, published in 2021, showed that nicotine supplementation and cognitive performance effects in archers resulted in 9 to 11% better cognitive scores, faster reaction times, sharper decisions, and improved memory markers on brain imaging after low dosing like 2 milligrams. Working memory, attention, and even decision-making all get a measurable lift. You also get the bonus effects of appetite control, a slight metabolism boost, and enhanced fat oxidation, as discussed by Peter Attia in his AMA 23 on nicotine's metabolic impacts and supported by animal studies showing nicotine suppresses weight gain through increased energy expenditure and fat metabolism. And here's one more intriguing benefit that came up during the pandemic. Multiple early studies noticed something strange. Smokers and nicotine users showed up far less often among COVID patients than expected, the so-called smoker's paradox. Researchers suggested, based on the data that they were seeing, that nicotine interacts with the same nicotinic acetylcholine receptors that the SARS-CoV spike protein may target as well. This could trigger the cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway, which might help blend cytokine storms and lower infection risk in some cases. It even led to proposals for nicotine patches in prevention or treatment trials, such as the ones planned in France for patients and frontline care workers. Though many of those ideas ran into roadblocks with full approval and large-scale testing because later reviews found the results mixed and raised concerns about encouraging nicotine use or shortages for people trying to quit smoking. It's funny, the same kind of access dilemma shows up with other medications too. Think about Ozempic, the drug primarily for type 2 diabetes. So many people started using it off-label just for weight loss that it caused real shortages, making it harder for actual diabetics who needed it to get their prescriptions filled. Yet, we don't see the same level of regulatory roadblocks or concerns about encouraging use there. Makes you wonder about double standards, right? Now, before anyone can get too excited, I will keep it real and explain some downsides to balance out the science. Nicotine is actually more addictive than the caffeine in your morning coffee. Withdrawal can hit harder and tank mood, sleep, and focus more intensely. It raises heart rate and blood pressure. Long term, there's some questions around insulin sensitivity. For example, in an older study on long-term nicotine gum users found links to insulin resistance and higher insulin levels, though the evidence is mixed overall. The other risks we're talking about include ongoing cardiovascular strain, things like persistent increases in heart rate and blood pressure that put extra workload on the heart over time, potential hardening or narrowing of the arteries, endothelial dysfunction, and an elevated risk for acute events like heart attacks or arrhythmias, especially if there's already an underlying heart disease. Studies show nicotine stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, releasing catecholamines that cause these hemodynamic effects. And while pure nicotine, like in patches, appears lower risk than smoking for long-term arthrogenesis in healthy people, chronic heavy exposure can still contribute to vascular damage and events. And even with small, steady doses delivered over 24 hours via patches, it still can be addicting. Your brain adapts to the consistent nicotine, building tolerance so you can experience withdrawal symptoms when you stop. Vapes? They're arguably worse with all the extra chemicals, flavors, and metals that make them especially dangerous for teens and adults alike. I'd encourage everyone to stay away from those. Knowing all that, guys, this brings me to the question that doesn't sit right with a lot of people, including me. With all of these potential upsides, focus enhancement, performance, and even those pandemic observations around nicotinic receptors, why the intense push to regulate nicotine so tightly and make it harder for responsible adults to access? We're repeatedly told it's about population-level risks, addiction that escalates quickly, harm to developing teens' brains, and the lingering association with tobacco. Fair points, but here's where it gets interesting and honestly, a bit questionable. The pandemic data showed lower infection rates in nicotine users specifically, not just smokers burning lungs with tar and thousands of chemicals. Yet, when larger reviews came out, they often lumped everything together and highlighted worse outcomes once someone was already infected, usually in heavy smokers with damaged lungs. That's a different story from pure, low-dose nicotine in healthy adults. So why does the policy conversation still lean so heavily on smoking-related harms when we're talking about isolated nicotine? And why does nicotine face stricter barriers than any other recreational or addictive substances that are far more freely available? When you start connecting those dots, the receptor science, the early pandemic findings, the potential anti-inflammatory effects, it makes you wonder, is the regulation really about protecting public health, or are there other motives at play keeping this compound tightly controlled? It's the kind of thing that leaves a lot of people raising an eyebrow. My take? Just use it mindfully, very low doses, never for teens, never with people with heart issues or addiction history. The focus on performance science is solid, guys. The pandemic angle adds another layer worth questioning. But it's not a daily nootropic for everyone. Cycle off, track how you feel, and always talk to your doctor or healthcare practitioner. If this video got you thinking differently or raised some questions for you, drop a like and let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay curious, stay informed, and catch you soon.